Well, good morning. Happy Friday, Incarnate Word. Welcome to another edition of the Weekend Roundup with Father Schneier and Father Schrader. Happy to be back with you, and a lot of things going on. Yeah,
yes.
Right in the middle of Lent. Just good stuff happening.
Yes. So with the Scout Mass and Blue and Gold Banquet was last weekend, and I know that's always a rowdy bunch.
Yes, a very rowdy bunch.
But yeah, Deacon Rob, who is a Scout or was a Scout himself,
Eagle Scout.
Very
Eagle
involved.
Scout.
Was able to celebrate with them and offer his thoughts, so that was really great.
Yeah. We also want to thank Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life for coming out to our parish and talking about the upcoming ballot initiatives relating to abortion. And you can get more information regarding this initiative at stlrespectlife.org. I'll have a link for it in the description of the YouTube video, stlrespectlife.org. Very important that we educate ourselves and prepare for what's going to be coming our way later this year, most likely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then upcoming events and announcements, the Companions of Lost and Found Sheep are this Saturday, tomorrow, after the 8:30 Mass.
Then we'll also have First Communion Community Day. Say that 10 times fast. First Communion Community Day. It's not the name of a credit union. It's the day that we have for our First Communion students and their families. So that'll start at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Should be a great time. They'll all be here in church and all around as they prepare to receive the sacrament of First Holy Communion in a couple months' time. So very excited for them.
Yeah, and always their excitement gets everyone who's involved.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of reminds us of the great privilege of the Eucharist.
Exactly.
The Disability Ministry Game Day is March 2nd, tomorrow as well. Add it to the list in the school library from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m.
Yes, Jonah Prayer Ministry will be after Mass on Sunday at 10:30. Man, our throats are I don't know what's going on.
It must be dust in the system.
We don't have colds. It's just all happening at the same time. Jonah Prayer Ministry after 10:30 Mass on Sunday. And we also have Encounter this coming Wednesday, 7:30 in the church. That'll be Wednesday, March 6th. It's a great opportunity to invite folks who maybe have been away for a while, been away from the faith, and can invite them to that. And in that light, our youth group kids will be on retreat this weekend, so please keep them in your prayers, doing their annual, is it winter or spring retreat?
This is spring.
Spring.
Yes.
I guess optimistic spring.
The months blur together.
Well, it was like Monday and Tuesday
there were
this
flurries
week.
this morning when I walked over to church.
There were flurries?
Yeah. I mean, nothing was sticking, but it was like, how dare you?
How dare you?
Yeah.
That groundhog was supposed to have an early spring.
Yeah,
okay?
He's a filthy liar.
Dirty liar. Never trusting him again. I made vacation plans based off of that weather forecast, and they've blown up in my face. I'm kidding.
And then this is actually a big one.
Yes.
The IW Campus Workday is Saturday, March 23rd.
Yes.
And I would say if any of you have a dual axle utility trailer, preferably like 6 or 7 feet wide by, let's say, 12 to 13 feet in that range, would you let me know? It would really help with some equipment, to bring some equipment on site. That trailer would help me do that. So if you happen to have one laying around that...
What he said.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, very important to make sure our campus is very beautiful, especially as we prepare for Easter.
And you can sign up on the parish website so we know how many people we have to help us get that done.
Great way to get service hours as well if you're in need of those, if you're a high schooler. Or in grade school.
Or make up for past sins.
Yeah, sure. Community service, voluntary or court-ordered. We should also add that. Voluntary or court-ordered.
Awkward.
Awkward, yeah. But hey, we're here to help. So Lenten stuff going on this weekend. We got fish fry 4 to 7 today down at the Lower Church Hall. You can order online, carry out, or dine in. We'll have Stations of the Cross at 7 o'clock tonight in church. And then another I wouldn't say it's an event or just kind of an opportunity is next Saturday, March 9th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're going to have confessions available in the church all day for 6 hours. So we'll pray for us, I guess. But yeah, it's an opportunity for anybody who wants to throughout that day to come and receive the Sacrament of Reconciliation. That'll be from 9 to 3 on Saturday, March 9th. We also want to pray for the repose of the soul of Joan Gordon, who was a parishioner here for many years. And then
Pete Claudin.
And Pete Claudin, husband of Debbie Claudin of our parish as well. So we want to pray for them for the repose of their souls and the comfort and consolation of their families. All right.
This weekend.
Third Sunday of Lent.
Yeah, it's the cleansing of the temple.
Cleansing of the temple.
Yeah. Watch me whip. Yeah. So, isn't that a song?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
From like 2015.
Well, there were no weapons allowed in the temple, so Jesus fashioned.
Had to improvise.
Yeah, he had to improvise.
He had to improvise.
He was a creative savior.
Yes.
I am in between. I was telling Father Schneider, I'm sort of unsatisfied with the first homily I wrote yesterday. So I'm kind of in between homilies, but I'm thinking of going back to a story from my youth of a rusty drain pipe that drove me crazy in our home. And I kept trying to scrape it and paint it, but the rot was coming from the inside. So everything I did, nothing worked because the real problem was inside. And just sort of talking about, as a culture, we can't fix the problems, the symptoms we see without first fixing the inside.
Yeah.
And kind of just going into maybe what some of those inside problems might be in our particular culture and time that we live right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go something a little bit similar, going off the idea of the cleansing of the temple. The Pharisees asked him, what sign can you give, as to why you're doing this? And his reply is, destroy this temple and in 3 days I will raise it up. And the gospel says that he was speaking of the temple of his body. We can say that, those words apply to the physical temple, to his body, but also to Jesus' mystical body, which is the church. Jesus has both a physical and a mystical body. And we are members of that mystical body. Christ is the head and we are the members. And you could look at the entire gospel as an image sometimes of how do we reconcile with the imperfections, weaknesses, errors, evils, sins of people in the church. And so I think and I'm going to draw a lot from a wonderful book that just came out recently called The Religion of the Day by Monsignor Jim Shea, who's an incredible author and a great voice in our church today. But he essentially says one of the biggest errors that we can have is we think that the church is meant to be a utopia, that it's meant to be immune from all of the cares and concerns of the world, that it should be perfect, because that's how Christ set it up. Well, that's not true. If you look at the Old Testament, more often than not, there was something wrong happening in the physical temple. Bad worship, sinful behavior, hypocrisy, all of these things. There's always been proverbial money changers and proverbial salesmen in the church, so to speak. Not literal, though sometimes maybe, but there's always been sinfulness among the members. And yes, Christ desires to cleanse it, but it won't truly be cleansed until it is raised up. And for the church, at least, that raising up doesn't happen on earth. It happens at the end of time. And so we have to kind of have patience a little bit and recognize, okay, we're not meant to be a utopia. But at the same time, we should always work for holiness and the perfection of the church so much as we can here on earth. So I'm going to kind of be talking about that reality this weekend.
Yeah, and even though I'm not preaching on it, I'm always struck how people will sometimes use the cleansing of the temple as an excuse for their own, rage or blood.
Yes.
Even Jesus lost his temper, but this was not Jesus had a bad day. This was him. He had tried everything else.
Yes.
To try to get through to the religious leaders and the people of God, and nothing was working. And this is sort of the last attempt, was that righteous anger.
Yeah. And
I think parents know this sometimes, where they try a soft approach, they try, reasoning, and then there's times where, then that righteous anger of, this is wrong, you must, realize this.
Lay down the hammer.
Yeah, but it's never Jesus giving us justification for. And
I think so. I think a lot of times, I don't know. There's angry Catholics out there. I don't know if you know this.
Absolutely.
Online, perhaps. And Monsignor Shea talked a lot in his book about, that's a symptom of thinking that the church is meant to be a utopia, and we get angry when it isn't. But in every age, in every age of the church, in every age of the Old Testament, there's always been a temple that needs cleansing. And that's not going to change. That's not going to change. Christ's body is a body broken but glorious, assailed and exalted. And we have to live in that tension. We have to live in that tension a little bit. But
not let our faith be destroyed.
Correct. We don't make the church holy. God does. Even though there are imperfections within the members, it if anything, it speaks to the divine inspiration and the divine origin of the church, and that she's still here. I mean, I don't know if you've ever read the history of the popes, but they've done things that would make modern politicians blush.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an important reality, I think, that we have to talk about once in a while, but something that can sometimes distract us. But just to kind of get back to no, this is how it's meant to be, and what's our role in that? So
great, yeah. So lots to reflect
Yeah.
on, and hopefully you find some of this helpful.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, anyway, hope you have a wonderful day. It's really ugly out there. Just again, where is spring? Where are you, spring? Why can't I find you? It's like
it's close though. It's going to be
coming.
here.
It's coming. That's what I'm telling myself. Anyway, hope to see you around this weekend at Mass as well. Take care.
God
God
bless.
bless.